And welcome to Brothers of the Sacred Heart in New Orleans for Martin Madness 2024. Martin Madness is is Brother Martin High School's spring fundraising event from the Development and Advancement Department, and we are here to support it in the spirit of Brother Jean and all of the fundraising brothers that came before and after, brother. We're going to hit you up for some cash, basically. But we're going to tell you some stories while we do it, and that's the idea here. My name is Edward Brandley. I am the NOLA history guy. I am a 1976 graduate of Brother Martin High School, which is why I pitched the book, Brothers of the Sacred Heart in New Orleans, to the Institute and the school back in the day. Any opinions, thoughts, comments here are mine and not necessarily those of Brother Martin High School or the Institute or the Brothers of the Sacred Heart. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll correct me. And you guys obviously send me feedback if I got something wrong here, or if we didn't identify somebody and you know who's in the picture. By all means, please do that. Tomorrow, saying very appropriate that that Martin Madness begins on St. Joseph's Day, because we have such a rich Sicilian Italian heritage at Brother Martin High, coming from the Faubourg Treme, the French Quarter, and the Marigny, as well as moving into Gentilly. So the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are the fundraising campaign itself. But as the brothers and now the teachers and development staff at the school will tell you, you're not limited to 3 days to put money in the hat. And I'll explain the hat tomorrow when we get there. But yeah, Martin Madness. Let's get into the spirit here. So this little podcast, 55 years of the school now. The first graduating class was 1970. Next year's rising seniors for the class of 25 will be 55 years. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the school before it even was a school. Then we'll talk a little bit about the legacy schools, St. Aloysius College and Cor Jesu High School. Those two come together to become Brother Martin in August of 1969. So we'll talk about the expansion to the Elysian Fields campus that leads to that. We're gonna present just some memories here. So we're gonna do teachers and administrators, people who have been around the school and have devoted significant portions of their life to they devoted their careers to education, and they are devoted to Brother Martin High School and the spirit of Brother Martin. And then of course we'll do a little bit on sports and activities. Focus a little more on the teachers, because they're the continuity, right? We're there. I was there 5 years. My kids were there 5 years each. This is 55 years. So we're talking about that, and we'll talk about where things are going from there. The prologue here, before St. Aloysius. So the story goes that the Brothers of the Sacred Heart were a religious institute of the Catholic Church that was in France, basically gets its start in southern France in Nice. The connections between the Mediterranean ports like Nice and Marseille and New Orleans are very, very, well established by the middle of the 19th century. So the Brothers of the Sacred Heart come over, and they first arrive in Mobile. They set up a school in Mobile and then expand west along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They stop in Bay St. Louis, that campus, St. Stanislaus. It's gorgeous. Go drive out there one day. You'll love it. So they open a second school on the Gulf Coast in 1854 that becomes St. Stanislaus College. Now, of course, the proximity to the bay, compared, its closeness to New Orleans, the brothers, St. Stanislaus became a very popular boarding school choice for young men living in, families in New Orleans. You've got, extensive Creole French history, and the brothers coming, having, being of French extraction, kind of get the idea, and became a very, very popular place just all along the Gulf Coast. By the time of the Civil War, the school closed. The brothers closed the school to boarders as the Civil War, the southern states seceded, and the as the Southern states seceded and the and hostilities developed. Big thing there, which I'm sure you know. Uh, did you go to Brother Martin? Did you take American history from Brother Boyles or from Dr. Tucker or some of the other? Did you have Mrs. Williams? Did you have, it was back, if you're back from my day, did you have Mr. Levy or Mr. Shio? $5 in the hat. Donate. Put it up. Come on, keep going. We're going to get this going. The school was closed to borders primarily because of Ship Island and Fort Massachusetts had 30,000 U.S. Union troops, as well as all the ships and everything, to prepare for the invasion of New Orleans to close, that way we get the port back up and running under Union control. So so the brothers said, no, we don't want people going back and forth with all of this going on. So the school became just kind of a local thing in Bay St. Louis and the surrounding area. The families who had boys at St. Stanislaus at the time are like, yeah, well, wait a minute, my kid's got to finish his education, that kind of thing. So the brothers, the institute, went to Archbishop John Mary Oden and says, can we set up something with you so that we can continue the education of these young men in New Orleans and they don't have to travel over to the coast in a potentially dangerous environment? Archbishop Oden, again, being a Frenchman of French extraction, these families are French Creole. You kind of see it's all that same community. He offers the institute access to Annunciation Parish down on Mary Street in Faubourg Marigny. This is Annunciation Church at the corner of Mary and Mandeville Streets in Faubourg Marigny. Bernard Mandeville de Marigny, the owner of the last owner of the Marigny plantation. Then he subdivides the plantation, sells it off as lots, mostly to French Creole families and freemen, all of that. Basically, it's kind of it's a French neighborhood at that point. Perfect place for the brothers to come set up and continue their mission in New Orleans, and arguably start their mission in New Orleans in that perspective. Here's a quick, unrelated to the school shot of Canal Royal in St. Charles. The photographer is standing on Royal Street and he's taking a picture. This is 1860. He's taking a photograph of that's Canal Street and the big Henry Clay monument in the middle. Imagine that sucker in the middle of Canal Street, But times are different. We didn't have automobiles. You didn't even have the streetcar yet on Canal Street in 1860. You're looking down St. Charles from the Clay Monument. You can see the second incarnation of the St. Charles Hotel. You see what would become the Pickwick Club later. You remember the Russell Stover down at the bottom. There was the candy store at the bottom of, that's the Crescent Billiard Hall now. And then it became a coffee shop. $5 in the hat. You remember Russell Stover, that kind of thing. We all went down there. You know that. Okay, so the Union occupies New Orleans. Things settle down. The brothers continue their mission at Annunciation of educating young men. Of course, they're picking up a few people as we go along here because, St. Stanislaus had a reputation by this point of being a quality institution, and the teachers, the brothers, knew what they were doing. So that continues down in the Marigny until after the Union occupation, the end of the war. And so by 1869, the brothers are looking to make a permanent home in New Orleans, and Archbishop Oden invites them to do that and start a school. In fact, he sells them an archdiocesan property. It was the house that was the old Spanish colonial officers' quarters on Barrack Street, right by Charters. So that becomes the first St. Aloysius in the French Quarter at Barracks and Charters. That building gets outgrown incredibly quick. So 13 years later, there's a need. The St. Aloysius is experiencing growing pains. There's a need to move out. Luckily, fortunately for the brothers, the Ursuline nuns were looking to move to to build their own bigger facility. So the mansion that they were using for their school at Esplanade in North Rampart was now available. The brothers left the French Quarter and moved to Esplanade in North Rampart. They used that mansion from 1892 to 1925. In 1925, they demolished the original building on the corner and built what we now come to know and think of as St. Aloysius High School. That building lasts till 1969. In 1954, St. Aloysius is chugging along. That building was opened in 1925. Aloysius is chugging along. The brothers are looking at expanding. They buy property on Elysian Fields Avenue, just a block or two up from Gentilly Boulevard, and build out Cor Jesu High School. Cor Jesu High School, they had just acres of land up there. There wasn't a whole lot of anything, even as late as the 50s up in that area. So they buy up a whole bunch of land and build the school. Both schools closed in 1969 for a number of reasons. Go buy the book, definitely got the whole story of how that all comes about. But the graduating classes of Aloysius and Cor Jesu in 1969 were the last graduating classes for those schools. The schools consolidate and become Brother Martin High School in the fall of 69, with the first graduating class, as we said, in 1970. Here's barracks and charters. This is what's called a plan book plan. You know how you get your house appraised and the appraiser comes out and he fills out a form and then she takes pictures and attaches photos? There was no color photography in the 19th century. So you hired an architectural illustrator to do a watercolor of the property. That became what was called a plan book. This is the plan book from 1869 when the Archdiocese sold the property to the Institute. You can see it was a gorgeous two-story house with a very extensive attic. That's where the brothers, they packed up, left Annunciation Parish, moved in here in 69. The left-hand side is a zoom in, is just a larger zoom in of the plan book. You can see it's drawn with the neighborhood to show you where the property was located. This is a legal document at that point. They moved to Esplanade North Rampart in 1892. We're not making this a big long thing. Go buy the book. We'll tell you all about the first Aloysius building, and then we'll tell you the story of how this building that you see here on the slide gets built in 1924, 1925. Usually you see the Esplanade front of St. Aloysius. I decided to go a little bit different on this one. This is a side view of the school. This is from North Rampart. You can see the streetcar tracks from the St. Claude streetcar line. Want to know more about the St. Claude streetcar line? Go buy my streetcar book. It's dedicated to the English department. Want to know more about Aloysius? Go buy the brothers book. By 1994, this building, the school is consolidated in 70. Literally 20, 25 years later, this building had been demolished. And they're really the only thing that was left there at the corner of Esplanade and North Rampart was remnants of that fence, that low brick wall fence that then had wrought iron fencing between the columns, and then the big columns supported it all. By the 90s, there was really only one column left. All the rest of it was either rubble or in disrepair. So that one complete column that was still left, the Brother Martin made arrangements with the city. Said, "Can we have this? You're gonna demolish it anyway. We'll take it." So they basically uprooted the column, put it on a truck, and brought it back over to Elysian Fields. And the column now is the Aloysius column, or the column. It sits out in front of, that's the Ridgely Center for Music and Fine Arts, at the back of the gym, back a little bit further down, along across the street from Farley Field. And that is it. That's the column. That's so that we can remember where we came from. The fence, the wrought iron fence, low brick wall, wrought iron fence, the columns supporting it, that all extended and wrapped around the corner from that shot that we just showed you, wrapped around the corner in front of the school building up and encompassed the big two-story house, three-story house, really, well, two-story house, take that back, that was the brothers' residence, which was right next door to the school. You can see through that tree on the right-hand side, you can see the Aloysius school building. The fence wrapped around there, the columns wrapped around there. This is a painting that was done by Brother Carl of the brothers' residence. It was auctioned off at an extravaganza in the 2010s, and it's now hung. It hangs in the Brother Jean Saubert. I said Brother Jean, $5 in the hat, gentlemen. This painting is hanging in the Brother Jean Saubert Center for Alumni Advancement Development over across the street. Do you remember the doctor's office? School bought the doctor's office years ago, and it's the alumni. It's alumni development. It's named in Brother Jean's honor. Do you remember the doctor's office? Again, $5 more in the hat. We're getting money out of you. This is the spirit of Brother Jean we're talking here. Here's an illustration from Tulane University's Southeastern Architectural Archives. This drawing, it's an elevation, an architectural rendering of a plan to expand the chapel inside that brother's residence from Brother Carl's painting. They knocked out a couple of walls and made a bigger chapel, and this was the architect's design of what the main altar, what the altar of the chapel inside the residence would look like. Didn't make the book, but you can see it was lovely. You know, the chapel inside there. I wish I would have been able to see it, but Chris, all that was long gone when I was a 7th grader, moving and looking to come to Brother Martin. Here's the column again. In the snow. This is like 99 or so. Like, somebody, if you were at school, if you had a snow day, $5 in the hat, please drop me a note or catch me sometime. Remind me what year this was. Save me from having to go look back or embarrass myself by, like having to go ask, Spellman or Mr. Fleetwood or somebody. But anyway, here's a photo of the column on, one of our like once in every 20 year snow days. Here is the original building from 1954 of Cor Jesu High School. It's going to look very familiar because it's still there. It's the Cor Jesu building. We always refer to this as the old building because the Resource Center hallways were built out. That was all extended behind the building. Catch it at night, turn on all the lights, get this gorgeous shot that was in the 67 yearbook. Here is a picture of 3 of the members of the 1954 state championship baseball team. It's 1 senior and 2 juniors. Marks, Belosa, and DeRosa. I can't remember. God, terrible. Sorry, guys. I'll get that right on the show page. But the gentleman, the senior on the left is Emil Chubby Marks, who is a class of 54 St. Aloysius. All 3 of these guys end up going to Tulane, playing ball at Tulane, and lettering at Tulane. Coach Marks gets his degree. Chubby Marks gets his education degree, comes back to school, comes back to St. Aloysius and Brother Martin as an athletics coach and PE teacher. On the right-hand side, you see the connection there. Student becomes teacher. That is a photo of 3 of the football staff from the late 70s, early 80s. That's the brothers Conlon and Chubby Marks on the right-hand side. That's left to right, of course. That's Coach Dan Conlon, Coach Bob Conlon, who was head football coach, and then Coach Marks on the right-hand side. Coach Marks was one of those guys that assistant coached everything because he was a good athlete. You saw he was a good baseball player, played football, was just all around generally a great guy for the athletic department. The school, Cor Jesu, is closed in the spring of '69, and construction was beginning already on expanding the school to accommodate the boys that are coming from Esplanade and North Rampart as St. Aloysius closes and Brother Martin High School opens in August of '69. You can see all of that, the open white blank areas were the original school building. There on the bottom left is the old building and the main lobby. Then the auditorium off of the lobby was already there. The administration wing was part of the original school, as well as the original library next to the auditorium, and then leading out into a cafeteria that is later then rebuilt, demolished and rebuilt to turn into what we know now as the mall. Remember the mall? Had lunch? Anybody ever tip your table in the mall? $5 in the hat, please, gentlemen. Thank you very much. The gym had already been there. We'll tell that a quick story about that in a minute. The chorus in the original days of the Cor Jesu days, in the original days of Brother Martin, the chorus was one of two portable trailer classrooms that were there next to the band room. So you see that area there was empty, and you had to walk over to the back to the band room, and there were two portable classrooms over there. We had 8th grade classes, a couple of classes out. Actually, it was math classes out in one of those portable classrooms, and then Mr. Cottingham had that for music appreciation, had the other classroom for music appreciation and as a chorus studio for the chorus. Band room, that's the old band hall, back in the Brother Virgil, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Hardy days, before the Ridgely Center was built. Two shots of the front of the old building. You can see the original sign. The Cor Jesu sign had to be redone. They put up a wooden sign that was, wooden board painted yellow with red letters to put up the school. That dry rotted out and had to be replaced, and replaced it back with a metallic sign like was there already for the for Jesu. By the 90s, it was time looking to continue expansion. The Ridgely Center had been built. The master plan for the school called to build out a wing on the northern side, on the lake side of the old building. The old brothers' residence was demolished, and that's where the Meyer building comes in. We'll look at that. Got a picture of that in a minute. But one of the things that was done at the same time was he had that lovely statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus that was over by the brothers' residence. Since they were demolishing the brothers' residence, they scooted that statue over and converted the front entrance of the school to a formal entrance and told students, don't go in and out of there all the time. Come in on either side like the riffraff you are. Did you go through that front door back in the day? $5 in the hat, please. But anyway, this becomes Place Sacré-Cœur. Instead of the concrete, you get nice tile and everything over there. The second picture up there is this is from 1977. You've got two very active alums on either side of two brothers and a priest. So it's in the middle there is Brother Don and Barry, who was the third principal at Brother Martin High School. In the left on the picture is Brother Lee Barker, who was provincial in the late 1970s. Brother Lee was longtime principal at St. Stanislaus. At this time, he's provincial, so he's back in town doing the work of the Institute. The shorter man that's next to Brother Don and on the other side of Principal Brother Don and Barry is Archbishop Stanley, actually not Archbishop, I'm sorry, Bishop Stanley Ott, St. Aloysius class of 44. Cajun Fest in 2009. Did you go to Cajun Fest? Did you drink Jerry Peters' beer? Did you, Jerry? Bless you, Jerry. Jerry's classmate of mine, worked for Southern Eagle for years, always hooked up the school for events and stuff with Anheuser-Busch Budweiser products. You can see the beer truck there. Did you drink the Bud? Go buy a Bud, toast, tip your glass, raise your glass to Jerry in thanks, and $5 in the hat, please, gentlemen. Cajun Fest, we weren't a big fair. We didn't have a history of decades of a fair. Fairs were always kind of, that was always sort of parish events, grammar school, elementary school kind of things. I put this particular shot up because Cajun Fest was a lot of fun. back in the day. My son was at school then. The band would played a pops concert, popular music in the mall. Mr. Hurley loved always. Mr. Hurley used to always start all of his concerts like this, like a pops concert like that, with a Sousa march. Like the spring concert. Yeah, he was a huge student, performer, and fan of John Philip Sousa. Just big time, that kind of stuff. But anyway, the reason for the picture of the buildings in the back, so you can get a perspective of this. The first building, that big, huge thing, is the Cor Jesu Gym, later renamed to be the Robert M. Conlon Gymnasium. You name the gym after the football coach? No, didn't name the gym after the football coach. The gym was named after the first coach that coached basketball teams in it, who was Bobby Conlon. Conlon was the head coach of the Cor Jesu Kingsmen basketball team. Later, Andy Russo from St. Aloysius came over for the consolidated school. Coach Conlon took over football. Andy Russo took over basketball. The story of the gym: Brother Hernandez was going to build a smaller gym for the school at this time. He is talking to his buddy, Archbishop Rummel. Rummel the man, not the school, mind you. You have brother Martin the man and Archbishop Rummel the man here, having a conversation. He says, hey, we're going to build a gym. Archbishop Rummel says, I got a proposal for you. How about you build a much bigger gym than you have planned, and I will juice up your budget to pay for that construction. Of course, Brother Hernandez is like, what's the catch? Well, the catch was that what Archbishop Rummel was looking for, because remember, this is the 60s. The baby boom is starting to hit. We've got growth in schools everywhere. He wanted a big Catholic indoor athletic venue. He wanted a big gym that he could use for big things. The CYO basketball tournament, girls volleyball playoffs, and that you'd want at a neutral site. Other basketball, wrestling events that, again, would either require a neutral site or you sucked it up because if Brother Martin was in it, well, it was big enough to house all your people and that kind of thing. That's where the big gym comes from. When Coach Conlon passed, they, of course, they named the gym in his honor because of all of his contributions to the school. Moving back from there, you see that lighter brick, that's the back of the original gym. And then you had a little space in between. And then that was the original chorus building, chorus room was there. And then the old band room. So the original chorus room and the old band room were demolished, and up goes the Ridgely Center for Music and Fine Arts, which is the back there. The third piece of the second darker brick area is the Ridgely Center. And then, of course, in between was there was a need. The school at this point in the 80s, there's a serious need for an auxiliary gym. So as part of the Ridgely Center construction and development, a second auxiliary gym that was named in honor of the St. Aloysius class of 1944. Usually it's referred to as the Aloysius Gym. It's an auxiliary secondary gym, doesn't have the seating capacity, but it gives basketball and wrestling, so the wrestling team didn't have to use the stage in the Conlon gym anymore, that kind of thing. Of course, the band room, the chorus, and fine arts classrooms and workshop areas move into the Ridgely Center in the back. And if you look carefully behind that big inflatable slide, you see the column that we were talking about earlier. Here's the Meyer Building. The Meyer Building is the Meyer Building is where the brothers' residence that was built in '54, along with the original Cor Jesu physical plant, was there on the lake side of the school itself. And so you get the idea there. And so basically, the old brothers' residence is demolished, and the Meyer Building is built out all of the science labs, the old biology and chemistry labs upstairs in the old building, physical science and physics in the bottom, plus math classrooms and computer stuff all migrate out here to the Meyer building. The Sacred Heart of Jesus statue moves over to the formal Place Sacré-Cœur formal entrance of the school at that point. So all your science stuff, kids over there, did you have class? Were you one of my boys? You had chemistry, physics, and everything out in the Meyer building. $5 in the hat, please. Teachers and administration, again, they are the continuity. They are the backbone of the school. We're there for a couple of years. We come back maybe as parents, that kind of thing. But the teachers and the administrators are the ones that make the school and provide the continuity. This is a photo of the alumni development staff in 2005. They got a good picture. It's in the book, but of course this is the color version because the book was all black and white. So this is the alumni and development staff from 2005. Left to right, that is Mr. John Devlin, who is at this point president. Mr. Devlin is the third, fourth, fifth principal of the school. Mr. Devlin then moved to president, and Mr. Jean Touye became principal. So at this point, he is president of Brother Martin High School there on the left. In addition to that, next to him is Ms. Jeanette Bovenzi, Ms. Ashley Lensmeyer, Mr. Tommy Mitchell, who at this time is assistant to the president and director of development, Mr. Kenny Spellman, Tommy Mitchell, by the way, class of 79. Next to him, of course, is Mr. Kenny Spellman. Kenny at this time is director of alumni, is the alumni director, and works for Tommy because Tommy's the boss of this whole group at that point. In the middle there is Ms. Gabrielle Macaluso, who was assistant principal for admissions. And she's obviously, because of admissions, she's part of the alumni development staff at that point. Next to her is Miss Julia Gandolfi, who was the PR press release. Make sure that picture of the kids gets up on websites and the paper and every place else all over town. Next to Ms. Gandolfi, of course, is Brother Jean. I said Brother Jean. $5 more in the hat, please, gentlemen. Everybody remembers Brother Jean. How can you not remember? I first met Brother Jean as a 7th grader touring the school in the fall of 1970. Next to and rounding out the alumni development staff in 2005, that's Sister Joan Laplace. Our first principal of Brother Martin High School was Brother Mark Thornton. Brother had the dubious distinction of having to pull the two student bodies together into one in that first year, 69-70. Pretty sure he said, I'm doing this for a year and I'm done. And that's pretty much what happened. Brother Mark was the first principal of the school. The caption on this photo said that it's brother plus 3 rising seniors. They would become the members of the Charter 1970 class of Brother Martin High School, and they were looking at designs for what their senior ring was going to be, with the big gold M on it. Brother Moore Schaefer was a longtime math teacher in the math department. You can see from that little caricature from the yesterday 1976, the yearbook. Were you on yearbook staff? $5 in the hat, please. Did you have Brother Moore? Was he your tennis coach? $5 in the hat. Were you either a member of the celebrated reprobates of 3rd period calculus from 75-76? Money in the hat, please, gentlemen. You're my classmates. I'll be putting money in too. Or you had calculus with Brother Moore, calculus or algebra 2 with Brother Moore at one time or another. Sadly, we lost Brother Moore way too soon. He passed. Those of you who don't know Brother Moore, the man, the teacher, the Alabama ring that looked like a single giant brass knuckle, you know the name because it's his the Teacher of the Year, Top Teacher Award. The Brother Moore Schaefer Award is voted on and awarded to the top teacher annually. Probably heard of him from that, if nothing else. And there's Brother Jean again. Yeah, there's a reason he's in here all the time because everybody loves him. Missed him when he retired. Missed him, and it hurt even harder when he passed. But we love you, brother. It's all good. There he is back in the early 80s with a little gift. And then that is a picture of the St. Aloysius, the auxiliary gym, the Aloysius class of 44 gym, generally just referred to as the Aloysius gym. That's Brother Ivy LeBlanc, Mr. Tom Benson, and Brother Jean standing in the middle of the construction. Mr. Benson was instrumental in the funding of the Aloysius gym because he was a member with Bishop Ott, you saw from the previous picture, of the class of 44. Brother Ivy at this time is he's president of the school at this time, and Mr. Devlin was principal. So you've got the president, you've got a benefactor, and you've got Brother Jean, who's sitting there, and oh, he's not picking your pocket. He would make you give it up yourself. Bless you all. Bless you, Brother Ivy, my sophomore religion teacher, who then goes on to the top of the school. Brother Bernard Cuvillon, one of my sophomore English teachers. And when I did the book, Brother Francis David, Brother Buddy was the provincial. I pitched Mr. Rando, who sent me to Mr. Mitchell, who then said the brothers got to do this. So they sent me to Brother Buddy, and then Brother Buddy then said, "Yeah, we're good here. Brantley, we know you too well. We want somebody to keep an eye on you." So they asked Brother Bernie, who was then he had come back. Brother Bernie went from English department teacher on the faculty up through the ranks of the brothers hierarchy, eventually became superior general of the institute. When he came back from Rome after his term as superior general, he was over at St. Stanislaus, and kind of taking it easy. He wasn't teaching that year, and that's when that I became Brother Bernie's student again, as it were, as he became my editor and guide through setting up the book. And by the way, Brother Bernie's back at Brother Martin now. So yeah, bless you, brother. Brother Carl started as a religion teacher. I'm thinking this is a picture from either, it's got to be either the faculty wouldn't have gone to a pep rally. So it's got to be a mass in the gym. This is back in Brother Carl's faculty days as a member of the religion department. If you know who either of those two ladies, I didn't use the pictures, so I didn't get into full name recognition here. I didn't use it in the book, but it's a great picture of brother. Now here's brother a little bit further along. This is a gathering at this is one of those dinner out for the school nights at Yale College Inn. You come, you buy dinner, the proceeds of your check, the restaurant donated back to the school. That's the guidance department staff at the time. Again, I didn't use the picture, so sorry, ladies, I don't have name recognition. If you know who these folks are, please tell me. I'll update the show page with that, of course. And there's BC in the picture there from that's 2009-ish or so. Brother Neil Golden. I first met Brother Neil as an 8th grader when he invited some of us youngsters who were in 8th grade Algebra 1 in 8A to start being guinea pigs of his computer book, Programming in the Basic Language by Neil Golden. That was basically his brother's dissertation, and eventually becomes a nationally recognized and very popular high school computer programming textbook. Here's brother from the early PC days, where we shifted from mini computer, teletype access, all that kind of stuff. There's a TRS-80 Model 1. This is early 80s because you can see the uniform is still the khaki shirt instead of where we switched off to the white polo shirt. We're still in the Navy ROTC style uniform. The right-hand picture is the Venerable Mel Levitt from WDSU, who was the host and moderator of the Pipe Council's Prep Quiz Bowl show. And of course, Brother Martin competed. I was 2 years was varsity Quiz Bowl by then. I was 2 years on Quiz Bowl when I was in school. Brother Neil was the moderator, basically until he passed that on later on. And there's a picture of him greeting Mel Levitt in the studio before a competition. Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. The regiment came over from St. Aloysius. The combination of requiring all sophomores, juniors, and seniors, 10th, 11th, 12th graders from the combined school created a regiment of 10 companies of 100 cadets each. So what those men are looking out at is 1,000 high school junior ROTC cadets in Navy uniform passing in review. The lower step, the visiting dignitary there is Admiral, 4-star Admiral Elmo Zumwalt, who at the time was a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff as Chief of Naval Operations. He has a littoral ship named after him now. On the left-hand side is the second principal of Brother Martin. That's Brother Bryce Hendrick. On the right, on the other side, is Commander George Kelly, who was an 05 destroyer captain, retired, and then became the school's naval science instructor. I don't know who the two gentlemen, the naval officer and the gentleman on the right, are that are seated. Everybody at least knows the name of the gentleman with the white cowboy hat. That is Brother Martin Hernandez. That picture of BC and the guidance council, the guidance department staff, was from a dinner outing for benefiting the school. 2008, 2009, those happened. Same event. This is a picture of the administration triumvirate from that year. That's Mr. Justin Fleetwood, who was a disciplinarian, assistant principal disciplinarian. In the middle is Mr. Thomas Maver, who was vice principal for academics. And on the right is, at the time, of course, Mr. Greg Rando, who was principal. Mr. Devlin had moved up to be president of the school, and Mr. Rando moves from being an assistant principal into the job. The other picture you see is Mr. Rando welcoming 6th and 7th graders on Crusader Discovery Night. It's either that year or the next year in 2009. You know, it's one of those nights you come in recruiting, let the guys run around, do some activities and have some fun, and convince them that Brother Martin is a great idea for them. So that's Mr. Rando. Basically, to use a baseball analogy, Mr. Rando's career at Brother Martin, he pretty much hit the cycle. He started as a teacher, moved into administration with admissions director, and then became vice principal. So starts as a teacher, moves in and becomes an administrator. Then, as in these pictures, he is the principal, and then basically as Mr. Devlin moved to a position with the institute, with the brothers themselves. Mr. Rando became president just before COVID, back in the early aughts. So now Mr. Rando is no, take that back. He was principal then. Mr. Gallagher becomes principal basically right around COVID. That's like 2004 or so. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 2020. Getting my brain messed up here. Around COVID is when Mr. Devlin moves to a different position with the brothers. Mr. Rando becomes president, and Mr. Ryan Gallagher becomes principal at that point. Again, same time period. I had scraped the website for all kind of pictures for the book. Some I used, some I didn't. I don't have name recognition, name ID on anyone except for the distinguished gentleman in the gold shirt, which of course is that looks like Mr. Nelson. I'm pretty sure that's Mr. Nelson in the middle there. This is the English department. Bless you people. English department, I'm not kidding. They taught me how to write, and I've written 6 books on history thanks to their guidance and skills. Music, band directors going back to when I was in school. First, there was Brother Virgil. Then Mr. Keller was his assistant. Brother Virgil retired. Mr. Keller took over. Mr. Keller brought in the man in the top left picture on the right with the flowery shirt. That is Mr. Arthur Hardy, currently and still publisher of Arthur Hardy Publications and Arthur Hardy's Mardi Gras Guide. And band, Mr. Kellerly's Uncle Arthur's Lonely Hearts Club Band begins. That era, when he takes over, he immediately turns around and hires his friend Mr. Marty Hurley to be assistant director. For all intents and purposes, these two gentlemen were kind of co-directors. Mr. Hardy was in charge. Mr. Hurley was a drummer. Every year for marching festival, he would write a new cadence. Sadly, we lost Mr. Hurley in the fall of 2011, at which time, by that point, Mr. Hardy had long retired to go run and do the Mardi Gras guide. Mr. Hurley was band director. When Mr. Dominic Corona came back to school, having graduated from Brother Martin in '85, goes to LSU, comes back. Mr. Hurley hires Mr. Corona as assistant band director. When Mr. Hurley passed away, he was, Mr. Corona was Commander Riker to Mr. Hurley's Captain Picard. Mr. Corona probably, I mean, he has the skills, talents, and ability. He could have run every other band, but he was Commander Riker. When Mr. Hurley passed, he immediately stepped in and became band director. He turns around and hires the gentleman on the right-hand side there. That's with the glasses. That's Mr. Chris Bailey, who graduated in '86, was in Tiger Band back in the days with Mr. Corona. I've heard, heard nothing but good things about them when they were up there and that kind of thing. And they are to this day kind of the same, director co-director relationship that the other two had. Mr. Corona is the band director. Mr. Bailey is the Mr. Bailey again. Mr. Bailey was a drummer, so again he's kind of, he'll take custody of the drum line, but he also took custody of the jazz band, which is what you see Mr. Corona conducting there in a 2008, 2009 photo from the patron party at the Extravaganza. Mr. Lewis Levy was a social studies teacher and debate coach at St. Aloysius. He comes over from Esplanade North Rampart to Elysian Fields as disciplinarian. Were you ever a member of Mr. Levy's 9th period dance class? $5 in the hat, please. Did you have him for social studies? Did he finish up making your schedule back in the day when he was academic assistant principal? The man was incredibly skilled, incredibly talented, and well-loved by everybody, pretty much, except the people he probably threw out of school. But you get the idea. Mr. Levy is a wonderful man. He, after holding both assistant principal positions, he went back to the classroom as a social studies teacher teaching history, and then retired from there. Bless you, Mr. Levy. We miss you. Our current academics vice principal is Ms. Deborah Broussard. Ms. Broussard was a science teacher, chemistry teacher. She was quite active. I think she ran the ill-fated 7th grade project from a few years back. Ms. Broussard is a well-established and very popular, loved teacher, now administrator for the school. She had the misfortune of having my younger son for chemistry, and then of course went in and she was doing staff development with Mr. Newsaline, and now of course is full on in the administration wing. After Mr. Devlin moved to a position with the Institute, Mr. Rando moves from principal to president, and Mr. Ryan Gallagher, class of 2000, becomes principal of Brother Martin. That left-hand picture is a picture from, I think, the 2019 ring mass. The picture on the right is from the same time frame. It's an alumni visit that Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Corrente went over to Tulane, because they were both Tulane graduates, went over and invited people to stop by the Tulane Student Union and come say hi and all that kind of stuff. They common thing for the alumni and development staff to do is, run up to Baton Rouge and connect with alums there, run over to Tulane, run out to UNO. That was the easy part of that one, of course. So that's Mr. Gallagher, our current principal. Sports and activities. This is the 1983 Summer American Legion baseball team, sponsored Brother Martin High School. You know, all the schools continued playing ball in the summer under the auspices of the American Legion. You weren't officially part of the school for that, so you had a sponsor that year. And I've got to ask Coach. I never did learn the story of how we became sponsored by Wendy's, as in the burgers, but you get the idea. This team won state for Legion in the summer of '83. This photo is of that team who made it to the American Legion World Series semifinals that year. Yeah, you get the idea for that. And so there we go. We've got the team there. That's Coach Hebert over on the right, not in uniform, but in the Wendy's t-shirt. This team went on. These are all pretty much all rising seniors. This team went on to win the actual school, the high school state championship in 1984. Fast forward 25 years, Coach Wiz and the Peak BMW, which Peak BMW was one of the dealerships in the Benson family. So they sponsored the Legion team in the summer of '09. That team was the Louisiana Department champion. They were the state champs that summer. Basketball. This is the 1974 state championship team. The combination of Cor Jesu and Aloysius produced state championship basketball in 1970 and 1971. By 1974, after those two state championships, the school recruited a big man who's incredibly skilled. That's Rick Roby. You can't see him because you can't see how tall Roby is, but he's the one that's raising a number one on the to the right of the state championship trophy. He was a senior in '74. This team won state that year, making the third state championship for the school. That went on. That tradition continued in 2004, 2003, 2004. A sophomore named DJ Augustine was instrumental in bringing the basketball team to state runner-up. And as a junior, DJ and his teammates won state championship in 2005. Probably would have repeated had it not been for Katrina in '06. This is DJ as a member of the Charlotte Bobcats NBA team coming back. This is '09 or '10 or so, coming back, and he conducted basketball camps in the summer for kids under the auspices of the school. Just a wonderful man, and always gives back to the school. I'm going to have to ask Mr. Spellman and Mr. Gallagher. I don't remember who has more state titles, wrestling or cross country, but here's the cross country team lining up to start the district meet in 2009. Like I said, these are the two sports that have racked up the most plaques on the wall for state champions, cross country, and of course wrestling. The band, we talked about the band directors. Here's the band from 2009 at Marching Festival that year. The uniform at the time. The uniform is styled like the uniforms from Tiger Band. It's an overall underneath the white jacket. Very functional. It's basically the purple and gold that the same style of uniform that Tiger Band uses. Imagine that, given that the directors were both members of Tiger Band, right? That kind of thing. Well, anyway, yeah. So this was the uniform back in the day. The white top with the crimson crimson stripe across the top. Those uniforms started getting to be a little long in the tooth a few years ago, and they were upgraded and replaced with a new set of uniforms in the similar style, but now the tops are crimson. So it's a red top with the black trousers, with the black overalls, as opposed to the white that you see here. The two young ladies in the front are members of the Dominican Debs dance team, who are back then and continue to be the band's auxiliary. They come out for football games. They marched with the band for marching festival. For carnival, they march on their own. So they can make their own bucks. But yeah, it's very, very happy to have such a talented group of young women to be the auxiliary unit for the band for these marching adjudications. ROTC. It's no longer the 1,000 cadet regiment. It's a smaller, down to company size. It's kind of a class/activity because there's so many different teams that compete against other junior ROTC units in the metro area and in southern Louisiana. Here is the 2007 ROTC junior ROTC color guard at a drill meet. The color guard continues to do present the colors at home football games. They do special events. Of course, this year, the most recently, they had the privilege of presenting the colors at the opening rugby game for the NOLA Gold professional rugby team. The bottom is the NJROTC Crusader drill team from that same regimental review that you saw Brother Bryce, Commander Kelly, and Admiral Zumwalt. The drill team competed in various drill meets. Back in the day, they were all against NROTC, and they actually won some of them because the drill team was really that good. So you see them off on the side, and they are watching the regiment pass in review. In addition to color guard, unarmed drill team, and armed drill team, drill meets these days in competition also have other teams that compete in various types of events. There's the athletic team, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, physical fitness type stuff. And then there's the academic team, where you are quizzed on things either as written tests, like quiz bowl style toss-up tests, all this kind of stuff, naval history, naval operations. It's the smart kids, you guys. This is the members of the academic team at change of command in the spring of 2006. That's the Katrina year. So, yeah, things are starting to get to be a little normal. Of course, this is May of 2006. Things are getting back settled here on Elysian Fields. I'm going to leave the cadets unidentified. I'll tell you the story of that sometime if you ever see me around. But the adults on the left there is QMC Terry Niecase, Chief Quartermaster. He's a Chief Petty Officer, retired, was the Assistant Naval Science Instructor at the time. On the other side is Major Lester Amick, who was a Marine Corps aviator who was retired and was the Naval Science Instructor in charge of the department and the company. And behind him, next to him on the right end, is Principal Gene Touye, who after the 2006 academic year moved up to Catholic High to become principal there. And that's when 06, that's when Mr. Rando took over. Field trips always, guys, let's go get a bus, just go do something, whether it's social studies or whatever. I picked this picture because I had a feeling that everyone would pretty much know what it was, because you can see it's the cannon and the rampart at Chalmette Battlefield. I put it in the book and I started getting feedback. I can't remember who told me the story, but he says, when Mr. Fleetwood used to take us out there, the reason he did was because we were doing work in class and we were talking about, honor, valor, battles, this kind of thing. And kids are telling him, and Mr. Fleetwood's from St. Bernard Parish. He was a little bit, you're kidding. Y'all have never been to the battlefield. So Mr. Fleetwood would load them up in a bus and take them out on field trips to the battlefield. I knew that, like I say, I heard that. I sent Mr. Fleetwood an email last week to kind of confirm the story. He told me the full story behind how this all got started. That's going to become another podcast because it really is just one of those great stories of, you see a picture in the book, but then the backstory is really cooler than just the picture itself. Elementary school quiz bowl. I just kind of scraped this off the website. I don't have name recognition. This is the St. Clement of Rome from out on West Esplanade and Metairie. This is their quiz bowl team from this past fall. So I don't know who these kids are, and I don't know who the lady who is the teacher moderator from St. Clement. If you know who they are, please drop me a note. So we'll put that in the show page and adjust that. As you can see, we want to make sure we get all that straight. The elementary school quiz bowl was a creation of Brother Neil Golden, was one of the best recruiting tools he ever did, because now you got these kids walking around to different classrooms to compete in 3 quiz bowl rounds. Just wonderful idea at that point. Academic games. Academic games had been around at Cor Jesu and St. Aloysius. When I was an 8th grader, was the first year that the middle school, junior high competition began. So we did equations when I was an 8th grader. And then, of course, we moved into full academic games competition from there. Still going strong. Very active New Orleans Academic Games League, the Jefferson Parish League, all part of the national group. In addition to that, you see this is an open house display for the activities. Over time, us just messing with the computer and beta testing Brother's book actually became a club and became the computer programming team, because they actually compete and they're given an assignment, and then you are judged on how you program that. You get the idea there. The brick, of course, at the end of that very rough fall semester in 2005, when Brother Martin continued as Brother Martin in Baton Rouge on the Catholic high school campus. Mr. Touye had a brick cut out of the wall of the Cor Jesu building, slid that out and presented that to the Catholic high faith community as a recognition and appreciation of their sacrifice they're giving up, and allowing Brother Martin students to platoon and use their campus at night to continue on as Brother Martin students that first rough aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. So in December of that year, when the when the semester ended, they cut the brick out, brought it up, and so now there always will be a piece of Brother Martin at Catholic High, and we'll never forget them, because they really they did, they went above and beyond to help out the New Orleans school. Again, this all starts tomorrow. The podcast will drop tonight, and you'll probably be listening to this on St. Joseph's Day. Martin Madness, 3 days. Put some more money in the hat, gentlemen. Brother Jean is looking down at you. He's not, he's judging you. You know that. But anyway, yeah, if you can help out, donate to the school during this fundraising campaign. It's a wonderful idea. While you're at it, buy my books. The streetcar book in top middle is dedicated to the English department of Brother Martin High School, who taught me how to write. That's how I managed to be able to string words together to write 6 history books. The Brothers of Sacred Heart in New Orleans is the book that's the history of the schools. That's dedicated to the faculty and staff that Mr. Touye led. Actually, Mr. Devlin and Mr. Touye led in the 05-06 school year to keep those boys going. And then the other 4 books that I've written. Again, I am Ed Brandley. I am at NOLA History Guy on all social media, and NOLAHistoryGuy.com is most likely where you are hearing this podcast. If you like this little parchment-y, ink-stained, archival-looking, old-school PowerPoint template, it is licensed under Creative Commons. You can share it. I can share it. Ping me, shoot me a note. I'll be happy to send it to you. Y'all, thank you very much for your time. It's been fun to talk about this, talk a little bit more about Annunciation and the prologue to the schools and the Institute's presence in New Orleans. Been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for listening. Go throw some more money in the hat, you guys, please. Let's keep this whole thing going. Thanks much, and I will talk to you soon.